What if the job that felt like the responsible choice, the one with the office, the badge, the stable paycheck, was quietly costing more than most people ever bother to calculate? Not in some abstract philosophical sense, in actual dollars, leaving a paycheck every single week without ever appearing on a bank statement as a single line item, because the cost is scattered across a dozen small charges that never get added up. The salary is not the full picture. The full picture requires subtracting everything a job costs to simply show up for. And for the average commuting worker, that number is large enough to change how a job offer actually compares to another one. Start with the most visible cost: getting there. The US Chamber of Commerce calculates the average American commuting spend at $5,750 a year, covering gas, vehicle maintenance, parking, and transit costs. A separate Bureau of Labor Statistics analysis puts the number even higher at $8,466 annually, or roughly 19% of an individual's average income. One detailed 2026 analysis found that driving to and from work costs the average American commuter $2,582 a year in after-tax dollars just in direct driving costs, before parking is even added. Parking alone can rival fuel costs entirely. Downtown parking in mid-size US cities averages $150 to $250 a month. In major metros, New York, San Francisco, Chicago, monthly parking regularly exceeds $400. Even a modest $5 daily parking fee adds up to $110 a month, or over $1,300 a year, for a charge most people mentally file as basically nothing. Then there is the cost that almost never gets counted at all: vehicle wear. The 2026 IRS standard mileage rate, the figure the government itself uses to estimate true driving cost, sits at £0.725 per mile, covering depreciation, maintenance, and tires on top of fuel. A 20-mile round trip, 5 days a week, adds up to over 5,000 commuting miles a year, which at the standard rate alone represents more than $3,600 in vehicle cost that never shows up as a single recognizable transaction. Next, lunch, the cost hiding in plain sight. A January 2026 study found the average office lunch in major urban areas now costs $23.60, more than an hour of minimum wage pay for a single meal. Daily lunch buyers spend approximately $5,664 a year on food they could have packed from home for roughly $5.50 a meal, a gap of over $4,300 annually. Separate research confirms the pattern. 71% of employees buy lunch at least 3 times a week, and half of lunch-buying workers spend around $20 per meal, adding up to £3,120 to $5,200 a year just on midday food that a remote worker eating leftovers at their kitchen counter simply does not spend. Coffee runs, sweet treats to get through the afternoon, the after-work drink with co-workers. Every one of these is individually small and collectively significant, and every one of them is a direct product of physical presence in an office rather than a home. Now, the cost that outweighs every other one combined: time. A worker commuting 5 days a week spends more than 4.5 hours a week just traveling. Over 200 hours a year, the equivalent of 5 full 40-hour work weeks spent entirely in transit, producing nothing, paid for by nobody. That time cannot be spent working, resting, exercising, or with family. It is gone, permanently, every single week, for as long as the job requires physical presence. Valuing that time honestly changes the entire calculation. A worker earning what looks like a strong hourly wage on paper sees that real rate drops substantially once unpaid commute hours are added to the denominator alongside the annual hidden costs subtracted from the numerator. The formula is straightforward. Real hourly wage equals annual salary minus annual hidden costs, divided by paid hours plus commute hours. Run that calculation honestly, and 2 job offers that looked meaningfully different on the surface can end up nearly identical, or the lower paying one can come out ahead entirely. Add clothing to the total. Office-appropriate wardrobes and dry cleaning represent an annual expense that exists purely because of physical presence requirements, a cost with no equivalent for anyone working from a home office in whatever they are already wearing. Stack every category together for a typical 5-day in-office worker with a moderate commute. Roughly $5,750 to $8,266 in direct commuting costs, $3,000 to $5,600 in lunch premiums, several $100s in work wardrobe and incidentals, and over 200 hours of unpaid time annually. The direct dollar total alone regularly lands between $9,000 and $15,000 a year before the time cost is converted into a dollar figure at all. This is precisely why the return to office debate generates the reaction it does. A 2025 Owl Labs survey found workers reported needing an average raise of $10,000 to $20,000 just to feel neutral about a full return to 5-day in-office work. Not to feel compensated for it, just to feel like the change was not a pay cut in disguise. That number is not an emotional overreaction. It is workers implicitly running the same math covered in this video and arriving at a similar answer. None of this is an argument that every office job is a bad decision or that remote work is automatically superior. Plenty of people value the structure, the social contact, and the separation between home and work that an office provides. Genuine, non-financial value that a spreadsheet cannot fully capture. The same honest caveat that applied to the renting versus buying comparison. What it does mean is that comparing two job offers or comparing a raise against a return to office mandate by salary alone is comparing incomplete numbers. A $70,000 remote job and a $78,000 in-office job are not simply an $8,000 difference. Once commuting, lunch, wardrobe, and unpaid time are subtracted from the in-office number, the gap frequently closes entirely or reverses. The fix is not complicated. Before accepting any job requiring physical presence, or before agreeing to a return to office mandate without a raise, running the actual numbers, commute distance and cost, realistic lunch spending, wardrobe requirements, and total unpaid hours, takes 15 minutes and produces a real comparison instead of a surface-level salary comparison that quietly misses thousands of dollars every single year. Drop a comment with the daily commute distance and typical lunch spending. The next video walks through the exact calculation for turning any job offer into its true hourly value, side by side against a remote alternative.